2021. Um, David, can you mute people because I'm getting a terrible echo from, I'm hearing it on theirs feeding back through them.
Yeah, the only people that should that aren't muted are the board.
Okay.
I can mute them too if you like.
Okay. Oh my God, we have Gene Sorbolini here tonight. Okay, it's 7 o'clock and it's Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. This is the Town of Olivetown Board meeting. Are we rolling on?
Yes, it's recording.
Great. Why don't we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, I pledge allegiance to the
To the flag
flag of the United States of America and to the
and
republic for which it stands, one nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
civil
liberty,
liberty, and
justice
justice for all.
for all. Okay. You can go back to the screen sharing. There we go. And Dawn, can you do the roll call, please?
Board Member Bogus.
I'm here.
Board Member Kelder.
I'm here.
Board Member Eniger.
I'm here.
Board Member Reed.
I'm here.
And Supervisor Sefranco.
Present. Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight is to welcome Josh Caliendo to be sworn in as a new police officer with the Town of Olive Police Department. And I see Sean and Josh there. And Sean, you can unmute yourself there, I think. And we need to unmute Judge Cox there.
He already is.
I think I am.
All right. Welcome, guys. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming to the Zoom meeting. And Josh, you were on the police force once before, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're coming back. Well, welcome back.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Why don't you start with the oath there, Judge Cox?
Okay, very good. Officer
Step
Caliendo,
back a little bit so we can see you. There you
there
go.
we go. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Joshua Caliendo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of police officer
the duties of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
It
Welcome
wasn't
back.
so hard, right?
Josh.
No, sir.
And
No, it's hard. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Josh, can
Yes, ma'am.
Josh stop into the office and sign an actual oath for me there?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll get it to the judge for signature.
Yeah, I'm usually swinging by the court every day or so.
Okay. So that's all. Thank you.
Well, that's nice. Now we have, can fill those shifts a little more easily. Thank you, guys. The town board has received the minutes for February and had a chance to look them over. Any comments or questions on the February minutes of 2021?
Me.
Okay, I make a motion that we move the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second. True.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. We had correspondence this month. We had a letter from Tom Oliveri and Jane Keller regarding the Bushkill Stream remediation. And we also had a letter from the Olive Fire Department, which is electing membership of a new member that we have to make a motion to approve. It's Olive board members in accordance with provision of section 1402, subsection 3 of the not-for-profit corporation law of the state of New York, The following people were elected to membership in the Olive Fire Department number 1 on February 8th, 2021, and submitted hereby for your approval. We have Samantha Jo Citrin of 8 High Point Mountain Road, West Spokane, New York. I happen to know Samantha, and she's great. She moved to the town a few years ago. She lives right at the bottom of High Point Road, and I think she'd be a tremendous asset. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve Samantha Citrin as a member of the Olive Fire Department. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, we have budget modifications. Transfer $1,100 from Reserve K to 1410.2 Town Clerk Equipment. Approve payment of the following bills. General fund vouchers 55 through 94 for $29,365.94. Highway fund vouchers 29 through 53 for $39,501.07. Special lighting vouchers number 2 for $199.80. Sewer fund vouchers number 17024 through 17042 for $37,850.31. You've all had the opportunity to go over these bills and audit them. Do I have a motion to approve payment of the audited bills
And the transfer.
and the transfer? Yes, thank you, Dawn.
I'll make the motion to pay our bills and do that one transfer.
I'll second that. I think he's got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. In January 2021, we received cash of $2,075,421.93. And the interest received in January 21 was $525.63. Here we go with the budget stuff. That's great. We're whipping right through this. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 6. This is the resolution 6 of 2021. This is for the operations in the event of a declared public health emergency involving a communicable disease. What many of us found during 2021 was it was very difficult and stressful for everyone in the pandemic, and the policies kept changing, and it was really difficult to keep up with what was required by the state, what we needed to do in our own environment to keep things safe and healthy for people. So the governor had the state legislature actually put forth a plan to have every town create a plan for these emergencies. So I will read resolution number 6 of 2021, a resolution to approve a plan for operations in the event of a declared public health emergency involving a communicable disease. Whereas the governor of New York State signed legislation S 86117B/A10832 on September 7th, 2020, requiring state and local governments and school districts to plan for future state disaster emergencies involving a communicable disease. And whereas the supervisor of the town of Olive, in collaboration with the town labor consultant, developed the town of Olive plan for operations in the event of a declared public health emergency involving a communicable disease, parentheses, plan for operations, that's what we'll call it from now on, to adequately protect workers in the event of another state disaster emergency involving a communicable disease. And whereas the town of Olive submitted the plan for operations with 150 days to the union representatives of the Olive Police Department and the Olive Highway Department for comment as required by the New York State legislation. And whereas the town of Olive received no comments on the plan for operations by the union representatives, and now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Olive adopts the plan for operations in the event of a declared public health emergency involving a communicable disease dated March 4th, 2021. Do I have a motion to move resolution 6 of 2021?
Makes that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Dawn, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed. Board Member Reed,
Yes.
Supervisor Safranco.
Yes. Okay. Keep you guys awake here. Resolution number 7 of 2021, Town of Olive, to designate the Conservation Advisory Council as the Climate Smart Communities Task Force. This is something that we do to continue in our Climate Smart Community Pledge. And this is also to appoint Matt Kovner as the coordinator of the program. So Resolution 7 of 2021 is Town of Olive to designate the Conservation Advisor Council as the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, whereas the Town of Olive passed the Climate Smart Community Pledge on July 12, 2016, resolving to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to be a climate smart community. And whereas the Town of Olive has established the Conservation Advisory Council to undertake a number of tasks involved in supporting the Climate Smart Community Pledge, and whereas the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has encouraged the creation of a local climate change task force to provide the town board with information about establishing and implementing climate smart initiatives, to provide new ideas to the town board, and to identify funding sources for these initiatives. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the Town of Olive hereby designates the Town of Olive Conservation Advisory Council to act as the Town of Olive Climate Smart Community Task Force as appointed by the town board. The Town of Olive Climate Smart Community Task Force appoints Matt Kovner to act as coordinator. This resolution will take place immediately. Can I get a motion to pass that resolution?
I move that we adopt the
And I'll
resolution.
second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yes,
and Supervisor Sefranco.
Yes. Okay. Resolution number 8 of 2021. This is for the buyout of the landmark property in Boyceville. They've applied to the town board, sent a letter to me indicating their desire to participate in the New York City funded flood buyout program. Excuse me. They are a corporation, and I had the 2 partners in the corporation get a notarized letter to agree to this so that there isn't any conflict over this. So I will read the resolution, and if we have any comments or questions before we vote, we can. Resolution number 8 of 2021, supporting participation in the New York City funded flood buyout program for 4072 New York State Route 28, Boyceville, New York. Whereas the Town of Olive is subject to flooding that can damage property, close roads, disrupt traffic, and present a public health and safety hazard. And whereas at the request of local communities, funding from the New York City Department of Environmental Protection is being made available to help property owners who qualify for the New York City funded flood buyout program based on eligibility criteria in 5 categories. 1, hydraulic study properties recommended by engineering analysis. 2, CWC flood hazard mitigation implementation program. 3, community approved stream management project. And 4, erosion hazard. And 5, inundation hazard. Whereas the Town of Olive has conducted a local flood analysis, including a hydraulic analysis of flooding in the town, and the LFA recommends certain properties that are eligible, that are subject to repetitive flood damages should be considered for flood buyout. Whereas the property at 4072 Route 28, SBL 36.11-1-27.111 has been recommended for consideration for buyout in the LFA, and the town has been approached by the equal partners of Old Stockade Development, LLC, Stefan Sandy and Greg Berardi, the owners of the property, requesting to participate in the New York City funded flood buyout program under the hydraulic study category. And whereas the Town of Olive has the option to decline ownership of the property, choosing instead to own this property for future flood mitigation activities. And whereas the Town of Olive understands that this town-owned property will be managed by the town in conjunction with a reuse plan prepared by the town that identifies the community long-term plan for the management, use, and development of this parcel. All activities are to be subject to and consistent with the restrictions in flood-prone areas identified in the second supplemental agreement among West of Hudson watershed stakeholders concerning the New York City funded flood buyout program, page 5, section 1A, I guess that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Figure that right. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Olive Town Board approves owners of 4072 New York State Route 28, Boyceville, New York, 12412, Old Stockade Development Limited Liability Corporation to apply for the New York City funded buyout program to permanently remove this flood hazard risk, allowing the DEP to begin assisting them in the real estate process. Be it further resolved, the Town of Olive Board opts to retain ownership of this parcel for future flood mitigation activities. Any discussion on this? We've been down this road before.
Indeed.
Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
A
Second
second,
the bullet.
Seconded,
True.
okay, roll call, please.
Board Member Marcus? Drew?
Me? Okay. Reluctantly, I vote yes.
Kelder?
Yes.
Board Member Edinger?
Sadly, yes.
Board Member Reed?
yes,
And Supervisor Sefranco?
Yes, it sounds like a lot of people spend a lot of time in the landmark and they're going to be missing it.
Well, it's a good thing I got those really great pictures from Clipples.
That's right.
They're all of the landmark.
Okay. So passed. Resolution number 9 of 2021. This is a resolution to adopt the plan of action that was prepared by the Olive Community Policing Task Force that was created in August of last year. And we've had many meetings of discussion and dialogue with the appointed members of the community and the police commissioner, Police Chief Sean Ryan was part of that. A couple of other people, elected officials, Vicky Reed and myself. And we came up with a plan of action. This is something that was required by the state for all municipalities and cities with police forces in New York State to look at their policies and procedures, especially in light of any kind of racial bias or inherent bias that might exist in the policies and procedures. It was actually something that I think we all went into like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. And it was difficult, challenging conversations. And I will say that we all grew from that experience and we all learned a lot about each other. And I appreciated the effort, actually. I think everyone left that feeling good about what we accomplished there. So I will read the resolution. Resolution number 9 of 2021, a resolution to approve the plan of action for the Olive Police Department submitted by the Olive Community Policing Task Force. Whereas the Governor of New York State issued Executive Order number 203 on June 12th, 2020, establishing the New York Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. And whereas the supervisor of the town of Olive, following the directives of Executive Order 203, appointed the Olive Community Policing Task Force, the OCPTF, a committee made up of community stakeholders, including residents, leadership of the Olive Police Department, a representative of the faith-based community, and local elected officials. And whereas the OCPTF was tasked to collaboratively examine the policies, procedures, and practices of the Olive Police Department for the purpose of addressing the particular needs of our community with an emphasis on race bias and disproportionate policing. And whereas the OCPTF held over 70 hours of meetings, including 2 online public meetings, in order to create a robust community dialogue, educate the public on the policies and procedures of the Olive Police Department, and to hear any experiences, concerns, or comments from the public. And whereas these meetings resulted in the drafting of a plan of action in order to better foster trust, transparency, fairness, and public outreach while maintaining public safety in the town of Olive. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Olive adopts the Olive Community Policing Task Force Plan of Action dated March 4th, 2021. Any comments or questions about this?
I think you guys put in a lot of work on it. And it's pretty quality.
Well, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Scott, do you have anything to say?
I agree. You guys did a great job on it.
Now you're fishing.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of meetings. Would someone like to make a motion to adopt this resolution number 9 of 2021?
I move that we
I'll make
adopt
the
it.
motion to adopt it.
Vicky made a motion. Drew, are you going to second it?
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Gelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yes,
and Supervisor Sefranco.
Yes, and did we motion last night to write a letter of thanks
Yes,
from the town? Okay, good. All right, that is the resolutions. We have the Cornell Cooperative Extension for the engineering design for Bostock and Red Maple Road crossings. This is an agreement with the Cornell Cooperative Extension and the Olive Highway Department, the Highway Superintendent. It's for it's funded through the Ashokan Watershed Stream Management Program, and it is for 100. What the heck did I just had it a second ago? $145,660 that was granted through that program. So I make a motion to empower. Well, let me go back a little. We did at our last meeting have a bid opening for this project, of which MMI won the bid, and this is for the implementation of that through Cornell Cooperative. And so I would like to make a motion to empower the highway superintendent to sign a contract with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County for engineering design of Red Maple and Bostock crossings. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Got that done. The next one again is the highway superintendent. Where is he? Is he here today?
he is.
Here is he? Oh, there he is.
Right here.
Quiet up in the corner there. This is for the purchase of a 2021 Western Star truck for $229,000 and $232. Excuse me. Brian explained it to us last night. I'd like to make a motion to empower this highway superintendent to purchase the 2021 Western Star truck for $229,232. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Very good. You got yourself a new truck there, Brian.
Long time coming, Jim. I said ordered back in 2019. Finally, we can take delivery, hopefully the end of the month.
We're getting tired of finding those old parts on the road, bringing them back to you and trying to fix them. Okay, the next one is we received, well, let's get back. I applied for a grant in the fall to the Jane Musser Fund for the development of a use plan for properties that we acquire in Boyceville. It was a $5,000 grant that we won, and we are hiring a planning consultant to develop a use plan for the two Boyceville properties, the Log Home Complex and the Daniels House. And we will try to incorporate the idea in this that other properties will come into our possession at some point. So we looked at different resumes last night. There were two resumes that we solicited. These were two very, very fine planners. and one is from Boyceville, the other is from Grahamsville. They worked on a project with myself and another planner where we tried to get a grant from the Nature Conservancy for a similar type of use plan for all of the properties in Boyceville. That was a $49,000 grant. We did not get that, but I worked very closely with them. So we talked about this last night, and does anybody want to put a motion out there?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I agree with Jim. We had two very fine people. But I'm going to put a motion that we hire Cynthia Nitkin to develop this use plan for the two pieces of property.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed? So carried.
Good.
I saw Cynthia on here. Oh, there she is. Hi, Cynthia. Congratulations. We didn't get the big prize, but we got the other prize. So
We
that's
got,
good.
no, thank you so much. My colleague Karine and I are very excited to be working on this. And I've been doing this kind of community work for 30 years, and this is the first time I've ever been able to work in the town that I call home,
Great.
which could be a mixed blessing, but we're very excited to be working, with all of you to move this forward. And it's fantastic that the Landmark Inn is, it's sad, but it's fantastic that Landmark Inn is also something that we can envision as we move through this process. So thank
Yep.
you so much.
Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay. Anybody else got anything to say? Any comments? Everybody's good? Aaron, you still awake over there? Okay. Okay, keep you awake there, buddy. We have the next up on the agenda is we had a septic problem last year, and we put out a request for proposal to do a repair after entering the CWC septic repair program. And we are in the program, so this will be paid by CWC. And we received two quotes from the proposal. One was for 30 from Chad Davis Contracting. Both were from West Shokan. Chad Davis Contracting for $34,590, and Andrew Eberhardt for $24,895. And I'd like to make a motion that we accept the proposal from Andrew Eberhardt to do the septic repair work for the town of Olive at the town offices. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we
Sorry,
go.
who seconded that?
I did, David.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, you good on that? You're gonna come out and help us? He's muted.
No, I'm unmuted now. No, I was just looking at the dollar amounts. No, you're fine. I'm not gonna help sling any dirt. I'd make a mess. I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Well, Cynthia was happy to work in the town. I thought maybe you'd be, just as enthused with this project.
No,
So anyway.
I'm waiting for Shokan sewer.
No, that's right. Yeah, we have another one in our back pocket there. I agree. Okay. Okay, I see Mr. Sorbellini is here. The next on the agenda is we had a terrible winter storm accident in Davis Park. A tree landed directly on our playground equipment and totaled it. Like when you bring your car into the shop, this was totaled. And we put it out. We solicited bids because of the timeliness of it and the emergency of it to get this. We need to get the tree off, and we needed to get an insurance appraisal, and we need to have this removed and a new one installed in the spring for our children there to play on. So Gene did a lot of work on this, worked with Rebecca in my office, and they came up with 4 quotes. 2 were from one company and 1 from 2 other companies, 1 each from 2 other companies. And do you need me to read these figures out, Dawn, or just as long as you have them.
You
You're
muted.
muted, Dawn. There you go.
You're muted, Dawn.
Can't hear you, Dawn.
You might want to just give the totals for each one. And then
Okay,
I can plug it all in later, but just give the totals for each one.
right. The lowest bid was Pro Playgrounds for $36,999. But that did not include any labor in it, so there would have been a substantial increase in that. And it was also a very small playground. It was the largest one they manufactured, and it didn't seem to meet our needs. The second quote that we got, I'll just go through this other one, was Game Time for $65,920. And the other two quotes we got were from Miracle, and Miracle Equipment gave us two quotes, two different designs. Miracle we liked because they were the provider of our prior playground that got destroyed. And that playground lasted a long time. So we liked the quality of the work that they're manufacturing and the materials they used. So we figured that gave them a leg up just in that sense. They provided two different alternatives. One was for $59,910.83. And that is with labor installed. And as was the Game Time quote. And option number one is the one we went with, which was for $64,984.18. A fair amount of this, maybe 50%, will be covered by our insurance, we believe. We're still working out the details of that. We haven't got the figure on that yet. So I would like to make a motion that we empower the supervisor. Maybe I shouldn't make this motion. Maybe you should make it, Drew, to empower the supervisor to sign this contract with Miracle Recreation Equipment.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we empower the supervisor to sign the contract with Miracle on the playground equipment.
And that was the one for,
I'll second.
Who said that?
Scott,
Scott,
Second.
Scott Kelder seconded it.
Okey dokey.
And this is for option number one for $64,984.18.
Right. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Very good. Very good. We are moving along quickly. We looked over this last night, the summer 2021 Olive Pool fees. Gene worked on this with the Recreation Committee, and the dollar amounts stay the same mostly, except for when we go to short-term rentals. It's a whopping $500 for an annual pass for an STR. And I talked to Gene a little bit more about this today. The idea being that we will implement this year this figure. This is for a property owner with a maximum of 8 persons, with the idea being that you buy a pass and your STR can, your short-term rental can use this for people as they come and go. We don't expect anyone to do that because we are in the process of working on our short-term rental law. And once we have that law in place and we start to establish a database of short-term rentals, then we could have this a little bit more enforceable once we know who these people are, what these properties are. So this is kind of, we're putting this out there, we're adopting it this year, but we're still going to allow people like to enter the pool from short-term rentals as they did last year with a letter from the owner, a verifiable letter that states that they're customers of the short-term rental and they pay a regular day fee for it. So we're kind of, this is kind of in a transitory mode here. You all saw this. Can I get a motion to approve the 2021 pool fees? Anyone? Scott?
Motion to approve the 2021 pool fees.
oh, the internet's sounding pretty good out there in Samsonville.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Kelder Road.
You gotta get the squirrel to run a little faster out there. You
I'm
can't
gonna
hear
check-
you.
Surprised we have.
Oh my God, I can't hear a word. All right,
I'll second
I'm
it then.
assuming that's a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so carried on the pool fees. That was great. Last night, we had a discussion on the training hours for the planning board. Mr. Sorbellini, the chair of this planning board, had put forth a request that we get them 2 hours of training for the amount of time that they've spent on the work that they have been very, very diligently pursuing in the last few months on the planning board with all the new things coming before them. I think we were all in favor of giving them some hours. When I slept on this for a night, I kind of came up with a little bit different idea. Is I would like to propose that we grant them the 2 hours, and at the end of the year, we look and assess if we want to grant them the other 2 hours. Only because I feel a little reluctant to grant someone 4 hours for the year when it's March. So that if in November, if we granted them 4 hours now in November, they come back and they go, we did a lot more work. We want another 4 hours. I would rather have it a little bit more spread out, but I'd like to hear if there's any other opinions on that.
So long as it's early enough that we make a decision, they can still get some hours. So if we said maybe the beginning of September, we make that determination. That would give them enough time to find the classes and take those last couple hours should they not be granted them.
Oh, that's a good point.
I think when you respond to David, that make it clear that our intent is to give them at least 2 more hours later in the year. That's the intent. So that they at least know what they're working with.
I know that there's a couple of classes that planning board members have already said they're going to be signing up for that are this spring. So,
Right. So I don't necessarily want to dissuade from
Right.
anyone from taking training. And I also don't want to give credits to someone in March when they could suddenly go on vacation for 6 months and not go to another meeting. I mean, it's unlikely. They're doing a great job and they're doing a lot of work. But I feel more comfortable just giving them the 2 now. And our intent is to reassess this in the fall.
I would.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant all of the planning board members 2 hours of training credit, and that we will reassess another 2 hours in the fall for them.
I'll second that.
It would be my recommendation.
Scott, if that's you talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're all breaking up, Scott.
Maybe you could type
Yeah,
something.
turn the video entirely off might help. Because you're frozen anyway
Yeah.
and gone.
Would you like me to write that letter, Jim, to the planning board?
Yeah, I would like to include that in the motion, that you write a
So
letter.
no, I didn't, my connection is,
Yeah, we're still losing them.
He might be able to type it in chat if he wants to make
Yeah.
it.
connection is,
I see the connection is bad. Try typing your response in chat there if you want, Scott. The chat is at the bottom of the screen.
See that wonderful service we have down in Sampsonville.
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
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 You might have to turn that movie off you're watching.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
But he's talking now and we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of going in and out, Scott.
If you want to text one of us on the phone,
The router is better. Can you hear me now?
yeah, keep talking.
You can't blame because I'm fine.
This isn't working.
No.
Scott, you can also, there is a call-in number, right, David?
Yeah, I'll chat it to him if he can get chat. I gotta go find it though.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Keep
For the
talking.
moment.
All right, so I moved closer to the router, so maybe that will help. So I lost you when you started talking about the credits because I tried to get your attention, but I don't know if we moved past that or not, but it would be my recommendation to give them all the credits now with the crazy year that they're having.
Give them all the credits now. What if they come back in the fall and want even more credits?
Then the answer is no.
Okay,
At a maximum of 4.
maximum of 4.
Yep.
How does the board feel about that? It's two
Or is
different
it?
ways of looking at this.
Hmm.
Any other comments, Drew?
That group is on.
Say again, Scott?
That group is under some extreme stress. And as much as we can help them out, the better off we're going to be in the long run. So this is with COVID last year and what's happening with the planning board in our area. Let's cut them some slack. They're working overtime, and then we'll address everything in 2021. I mean, 2022 is going back to normal.
Board, what do you
I
think?
don't know if
Anybody
you
else?
got all
I
that.
would certainly agree that they're under a lot of stress and they're meeting twice a month at least, sometimes 3 times a month. And they are volunteers.
Right.
Nikki, I mean, since you attend all the meetings, do you think if we gave them all 4 hours now, it would take some pressure off of them thinking they got to get training in this year?
I think it would take a little pressure off. I mean, a little.
I do know that one of the old time, the long time planning board members, I won't say who, did express to me that he wasn't interested in doing any more training with the amount of work they're putting in.
Yeah,
I did
of
get that
course.
sentiment a few months ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, we'll go back to the original idea of let's grant them the 4 credits then, if everyone agrees to that. I'll move my motion off the floor, and is that what we're in consensus of, we think?
Yeah, can we explicitly say that's the max for the year? It's the 4?
Scott, what do you think? Scott seemed to indicate that
Yeah.
he just worked.
4 is it.
Okay.
And this is only for 2021.
Only for 2021.
Only this year.
Okay, so Dawn, do you got that? I'm gonna make a motion that we grant the planning board members, all of the planning board members, 4 credits for 2021 to meet their requirement for training for 2021.
We can also express to them that if they do any training, it does carry over to next year. So if they still want to do that training this spring, it's not wasted.
Right. If
There
they, if they decide to pursue further training, that will be credited as well into the next year.
Are there any that are short on training hours?
Uh,
I didn't
yeah,
bring
there-
my sheet with me.
Yeah,
There were.
And I
there
think,
were some I know.
okay.
Yes, but not a lot.
We also
Right,
have several new
right,
ones that
right.
still need their hours.
I-
All right,
I-
so
I think the other one is Timothy Peck, because he's just on this year. He hasn't done any of his training. But I think they are sufficient and have extra hours to begin with. Some are teetering on the edge, but they still have some. So this will definitely help them for this year, so they don't have to sit at a computer for another 4 hours.
okay, so that's good. So we'll give them 4 credits in appreciation for the work that they've done this year, and we anticipate them doing for the rest of the year.
I will, in my letter, state that even if they decide on their own that they still want to go ahead and get extra time, that it still gets applied.
Right, okay.
Yes.
I need a second.
Second.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed? And make sure that you put in that letter that it's in appreciation of the work they've done,
I will.
or in recognition of the work they've done so far.
And
I
are
will.
going to do.
Okay. Aaron, we've kept you here so long listening to this stuff. Are you still awake? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Here we go. I'm good now.
All right, let me just get to your paperwork here. I sent the board, you know what? I don't think I sent it to you, Aaron. I sent the board the agreement we had in 2020. Kind of what we talked about. I talked to you on the phone about it today a little. And so it's pretty much the same thing that we talked about on the phone today. Did the board get a chance to look at that side agreement that we had?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me read it just so everyone's on the same page here. This is for the Aaron Smith application, and this would be from the night of April 30th through the morning of May 2nd. So it's 2 nights, but Aaron expressed to me quite clearly that he doesn't expect that many people the first night to stay over, but there's some people who are very enthusiastic that like to come, so he does like to have that available to him. And I don't think you'd be over the 300 threshold that first night anyway, right?
No, definitely not.
So yeah, so that's not even required. This is for the European Audi VW Car Show Festival and Camping Event at 2272 County Route 3 Olive Bridge in Olive Bridge. And Aaron has done this event. How many years have you done this, Aaron?
I used to have that number on the top of my head, but then this year messed it up. But I think it's the 12th or 13th year.
Okay. So you're
something
not
like
an
that.
amateur at this. You've done this.
Right.
And you've gone through a long process with the town board, understanding what, every year we kind of tune this. We make it a little better. We've had some not so good years, and we've had some very well-run, smooth years on this. And this year we have a special year. Last year you weren't able to have it. And this year we have a difficult year with COVID. It's still. But as we all know, things are starting to open up. Everyone's getting very optimistic. And I can stress from my perspective, this is an outdoor event. Much of it entails camping in individual tents in campsites. And it's a car show. So people have their own area in the car show where they stay. And we would be, we discussed last night that we would require you to be adhering to whatever COVID standards are in effect at the time of this event. Currently, we're looking at pretty much the 6-foot distancing outdoors or masks or both, whatever works in the scenario that you have. We know that the New York State has changed the parameters of outdoor events so that you could have 200 people. But if you were to have people that were, tested within 3 days before coming there, I believe that's what we discussed. I think that's what the parameters are. And they have verification of that.
I think it's 5 days, but
Okay. Well, whatever that verification, whatever that is, we are expecting you to adhere to that state
yes.
Department of Health mandate. And you know that. And we would feel comfortable, I would feel comfortable if if this were to proceed. You get a lot of enthusiasm for this. You guys work very hard to make it good. And I think the board recognizes that. So let me read what we have. As per Chapter 78 of the Town of Olive Code, the Olive Town Board approved licensing the event as applied for by Mr. Smith at the Olive Building Department, and at the March 9th, 2021 meeting, the zoning and code enforcement officer shall issue a license permit to hold said event based on the following conditions and restrictions. Amplified sound for music and movies shall end at midnight each night. Beer vendor shall provide a copy of license and permit to sell off premise that is issued by the New York State Liquor Authority. Beer vendor shall provide $2 million in liability insurance, naming the town of Olive, P.O. Box 180, 45 Watson Hollow Road, West Shokane, 94, as additionally insured. No more than, we'll have to specify the number of tickets are to be sold and only those age 21 and over. Holder of the event shall provide general liability insurance on a minimum of $1 million per occurrence and $3 million aggregate, naming the town of Olive, PO Box 180, 45 Watson Hollow Road, Washouka, New York, 12494, as additionally insured. The event known as launch control is prohibited by the event organizers. The sound off competition will occur for 30 minutes or less on Saturday, May 1st, between the hours of 12 and 5. A medical tent will be staffed at the site. The show will proceed as scheduled unless there is a restriction on mass gatherings or events issued by New York State or the Ulster County Department of Health. This event must strictly follow the COVID public health guidelines set forth at the time of the event. Face masks are required if outdoor social distancing of 6 feet cannot be maintained. The event can be rescheduled later in the year if such a determination is made to be in the interest of public health. So that's kind of what we did last year. A copy of the permit and conditions will be provided to the Town of Olive Police Chief for the Town of Olive Police Department to enforce. We also talked last year, we didn't write this down, but we talked about the neighbors and the notification of the neighbors, and that's kind of part of what you do, I know.
Yes,
And-
it is. Yes.
And I also know that we got a little bit of feedback last year of neighbors turning around on the lawns and in driveways of neighbors' the attendees turning around in the neighbor's property. So you do want to make sure people understand that that's obtrusive, and it, it's all you need is one or two people, and it drives people crazy, in an event like this. So I'd like to open this up to the board for discussion and hear what other members of the board have to say.
I'm currently good with what you just read, Jim. I think that's adequate. I guess the only question I would have is who's responsible for policing the event to make sure the COVID things are followed? I'd like to hope that's not falling on the town.
So I'll give you my perspective, and then Aaron can chime in on this. My perspective is that in any business event, we encourage the owners of the business to do the right thing. There is a hotline that people can call up and complain if they see complaints, in which case the sheriff's department will be notified and they can respond accordingly, either with the Olive Police or not. But we are not going to be on site enforcing, this telling you put your mask on. That would fall on the responsibility of the event holder. Aaron, you want to chime in on that?
Yes, to address that point, typically any other year we would have an 8 to 10 man staff who keeps order at the event, and each year I give them an updated list of duties and special things to watch out for. So this year, one of the special notifications for my crew will be to remind people to stay 6 feet away from each other, to remind people to keep their masks on if they're under that, and to do proper diligence and hygiene, wash their hands when they're out of the porta potties, things like this. So they'll have a whole extra group of things that aren't normally part of their normal security detail, but they will be happy to do it for me because that's what I'm going to ask of them.
And I don't know what you do with hand sanitizer and things like that, but that would be another thing to have available.
I have not decided how I'm going to handle that yet, because I'm still trying to figure out if I can have the event.
Yeah.
But yes, there will be a whole bunch of that on hand this year.
As well as masks. People lose their masks, they throw them in a
They break.
fire when they're drunk, and
Yeah, I was planning on making some that say the event name, and
that would even be better. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Any other comments? So the question is also how many people do we want to restrict this to or not? We can grant a permit for over 300 people. We need to.
Isn't that partly what the state guidelines are that we need to?
We should still set the cap
Right, I know, but
of
I mean,
1,000.
The cap's already
Please.
1,000, I think, because of Chapter 78.
yes.
That sets it.
So we've established the cap as 1,000. My own personal thing is to err on the side of caution and to bring that number down in this event, but I wanted to hear what the rest of the board said. You know,
I would leave that to the health.
And I also,
Health
let me
department.
make one other point just before that. I would also like to stress that, you know, we've had this event, we've tried to work with Aaron for 12 years now on this to make this happen in a safe way. We've had some tragic incidents with it. We've had some good positive responses in it. And I do want Aaron to be able to come back next year and say he was able to pull this off in a safe way that makes us feel good if he wants to do it again next year. So my point being that I don't want to say the max, and if we think that we need to exert some kind of control over that number that will help him move forward and enforce. Is 1,000 people enforceable?
So I think the question to Aaron is, what is the number that he feels he may have this year, and what is the number that he feels comfortable with?
Well, is this number in disregard to the state mandate law, or is this in terms of if there was no mandate and I was able to have more than the current number as it stands now?
So I think the mandate's going to change by the time we get to your event. So I mean, are you expecting 1,000 people to come to your event if we say that the town says you could have 1,000?
If you said I could, I would change the parameters in Eventbrite and allow more tickets to be purchased. Yes.
But you would have to allow these tickets to be purchased in advance, right? And
Correct.
We don't know what that number will be, and you can't know that number in advance.
I don't
That's
know.
why it
All
might
I
be
could
worth
do
just
is
put a number on it, you know?
right. All I
Right-
could do
Right
is
now, that number is 500, correct?
500 with people that have proved
Right,
testing.
with testing.
Well, the 200 level won't allow him to recoup any of his costs. So if he can't hit that testing level, then the event's not going to happen.
Right. And I don't know what will happen when they, the parameters could change between now and then when they say it can be 700, 200 with tests and 500 inoculated, vaccinated. We haven't even put the vaccination part of it in, but that age group isn't vaccinated yet but by the end of May, that might be, there's so many variables in this. Do we want to just say, yeah, whatever you can do up to 1,000, or do we want to say 500, 600, 700 max? Let's just hold it down so there's a predictable number.
So Aaron, how many do you need in order to make this work?
The 500 number makes it work. It will be less profitable than years past, but it's not always about profit. The people are very excited to be able to come, and that's important to me. And it's spiral marketing in all reality too. It helps me and my awareness when I have the show. People get to meet me. It's not just about money. It's about a lot of things. It's spiral marketing really for my whole career. But 500 is like the break even, I think, and that's minusing expenses that I had last year that didn't ever get covered. So it makes it a little easier because that's already been absorbed and over with. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But if the guidelines were to change and I could have the whole entire amount, I really don't see that happening. I don't think I'll have time to deal with that or even make people aware that it's changed and that they can come back and buy more tickets now. I don't think it's going to happen that way. But
Do we want to set a date of whatever the guidelines are as of, I don't know, I don't remember when in May your event is? What date?
for argument's sake, May 1st. Yeah.
Okay. So you need probably at least 2 weeks out from there, right? To make any kind of changes.
Probably. Yeah.
So whatever the guidelines are, April 15th is what you go with?
Or on the other hand, maybe, I don't know, what's the difference? What
Yeah,
does it
the
matter?
April 1st and April 15th aren't going to change, I
Yeah.
don't think.
Yeah.
So let's just say the 500 then and lock it down now.
But then again, though, not to be disrespectful, but what is the point of doing this? Why do we have to lock it down?
Well, I mean, I was for just leaving it to whatever the guidelines are at a set date before your event, you know,
Right.
in order to give you enough time.
So wouldn't that work itself out? If I can't do it, I can't do it, even if the guidelines changed.
Good point.
Mm,
I mean, if they change the day before, it's not going to happen because I'm not going to be able to sell any more tickets.
Yeah, so long as it's up and not down. Shouldn't be down.
How soon before the event starts? You
Oh,
sell tickets?
in the case that it goes down, I would definitely be very amicable on doing something about that. I would have to tell some people they can't come, or I would have to fall under that law. I couldn't just, oh, well, you guys said I could do 1,000, even though they just changed it to 200. No, I wouldn't do that.
What does the town board think? Are we beating a dead horse here? Should we just let them go and go with the guidelines?
That's my gut feel right now, is let them go with the guidelines.
Mine
Yep.
too.
yep.
Yes.
Scott, you good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll maximum 1,000 people. Strict guideline adherence in terms of numbers and all of the other requirements for meeting the New York State Department of Health and Ulster County Department of Health.
And I know you don't need to hear this, Aaron, but how you come off this year meeting all these requirements is whether we do this next year.
No, I completely understand that.
We'll be watching you,
It's the same as every other year.
Right?
It's another parameter is all.
And I want to tell you, it's not us. It's going to be every other person in town that's going to be
Yeah.
freaking out
Yeah.
and spending this.
And that is a concern, and I understand that. And I will try to get out the word of that it's happening and preemptively explain to the neighborhood how we're handling most of their obvious concerns.
Right.
And that's how we get that across before bad ideas come into their heads about what they don't know. Tell them what they need to know.
Jim, do we need a motion to make it okay for John to issue the permit?
Yes.
I'll make that motion that we go with what you read. as Requirements for the event.
So what I read, and a maximum of 1,000 people, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Dawn, do you need a better motion than that? We're kind of like hodgepodge motioning here. Can't hear you. You're
Muted again.
Now I can piece it together.
okay.
Yeah,
we
what you
make a
said.
motion- Drew made a motion to approve the event, and I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, Aaron, you can go start printing up tickets.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and approving me. I appreciate it greatly.
Good
And
luck.
please let us know how you're managing that, testing thing, if you're gonna be up that high number. We want to make sure
Well,
that that's,
I can tell you just from a conversation I had today with one of my IT guys that helps me coordinate ticket sales and all the info. We're probably going to see if it's possible to have them upload that information the evening before. And then they'll get something flagged on their account that we can see that they did that, so that we can at least get the traffic in and off the road,
that's a great idea.
and
Yeah.
then try to handle it a little different once they're on site. But we'll have that information from hopefully about 90% of the people prior to them stepping foot at the event.
That'd
That's
be
a really
awesome.
good idea.
Yeah, because I don't want, my biggest concern is traffic jams out on the road, because that's the stuff that, bad experiences are made out of, and people get upset. So,
Right. Okay, I think that's good, right? Everybody good with that? Any other comments?
Mm-mm.
Good.
okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
No problem.
luck.
Have a nice night.
Great. Announcements. We have local law number 1 of 2021, the Community Choice Aggregation Program. Our public hearing last night was not notified. So if you look above, you'll see the the schedule there with the link. I don't know if anybody wants to write that down while we have it here. And then that's on March 24th at 6:30 PM. The public hearing for local law number 1 of 2021 for community choice aggregation.
Aggregation.
Is aggravation at this point. And on March 18th, coming up next week, next Thursday at 6:30, we have the Ashokan Pump Storage Project. That will be a public meeting, online meeting on Zoom for the public to educate themselves on the proposed project and to get an overview. I've lined up a great presentator who was on a Zoom meeting in Woodland Valley earlier this week. She lives in Woodland Valley, and she is a journalist, and she has done a tremendous amount of research on hydro plants, and she's very well capable of presenting to the town the proposal, the FERC process, and actions that can be taken, and she can give us good guidance on how to proceed strategically on that. And she's also, it would be a good opportunity, as I looked at the Woodland Valley meeting, for the people in the community to ask questions, but also to give ideas, because a lot of the good ideas in the responses that I've noticed so far on the FERC portal for this project have been ones that have been well thought out and thinking from a particular angle that might create legal entanglements for the applicant. So that might carry a little more weight than I don't want you taking down the trees in my backyard. So although those are valid as well. So those are the two meetings we have coming up. Any questions on them while we're on that subject? I can't see if anyone's muted. You can go back to the full screen there, David.
Everyone should be able to unmute themselves.
Wendy, Michelle, you have any comments on that before we move on to the committees?
Yeah, I'd like to speak again if I might.
Sure, why not?
Okay. Hello again to everybody. I spoke last night about the inconsistencies, errors, and bad faith already exhibited by Premium Energy in its proposal to build a reservoir, dam, and underground tunnels that would connect this upper reservoir to a pump storage hydroelectric plant under the banks of the Ashokan Reservoir. Tonight, I'd like to speak more personally as someone whose property is less than 1 mile downstream from the proposed upper reservoir. To give you a feel, what is planned is a 225-acre reservoir near the beginning of the Maltby Hollow Brook, held back by a 25-story high concrete dam. This enormous dam will be a half-mile long and run across Moon Hall Road. The project will take years to construct. It will involve literally hundreds of thousands of trips by construction vehicles, traveling up and down 28A, Watson Hollow Road, and Moon Hall Road. The project will require huge underground machinery, tunneling under streams, hillsides, and property, perhaps my property, destroying shallow wells, and possibly weakening many home foundations. The lengthy construction and noise will be relentless. Not only will it bother us, but it may disturb the graves of the people who are buried in the Bushkill Cemetery, people whose graves were already dug up when the first reservoir was built over a century ago. And when they finish, what is left for us? They will flood Moon Hall Road and obliterate the homes of my friends and neighbors, people I have come to love and know. The application clearly states that Maltby Hollow Brook will be dried up. The streamfront property that I fell in love with 35 years ago will be replaced by a barren course of rocks. The animals who come to drink, the deer, ducks, and the occasional mink, will also be forced to find another home. My woods will be forever changed. And I will move too, My home will not be deliberately flooded. I will not be subject to eminent domain. But I will suffer a huge financial loss as my property value diminishes. I will have to move because I will live downstream from a huge dam, one designed and possibly built by a sloppy and incompetent consultant who does not even know or care that we live in the town of Olive, not Shokan City. How can I sleep nights wondering if or when the dam will burst? Maybe just a hairline fracture that turns into a gaping hole. And all that debris and water from a 225-acre reservoir that is over 300 feet deep flows down, 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 drowning me, my husband, my children, destroying us and everyone who lives along what used to be the Maltby Hollow Brook forever. It will not stop there. The water will seek its lowest point, the Ashokan Reservoir. It could flood all the homes along the lower part of Watson Hollow Road, maybe destroy the town offices, the highway department, and Davis Park. It is the stuff of a nightmare, except that is truly a possibility. You see why I cannot stay. Could you? I clearly have a vested interest in stopping this project. But as a citizen of Olive for 35 years and a lifelong lover of the Catskills and its waterways, my concern is broader than my personal self-interest. This project serves none of us. It is not green despite the hype. It uses more energy than it generates. It serves only to create possible profit for the utilities and for Premium Energy of California. This project provides nothing of value to our community. And it is up to us to stop it and stop it now. We must mobilize, voice our concerns, get organizations and lawmakers to come to our defense, give this project all the negative publicity and media attention it deserves. Please, to my fellow citizens and to the members of the town board, take strong action now. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to make a comment?
I would. Jim, Michelle Friedel.
Still there? I see your picture. There you are. Okay.
No, I just did the video to help with the stabilization of the connection.
Okay.
So, well, hello again.
Hi there.
So, hello again, and thank you for allowing. Is that okay?
You're breaking up a little.
And maybe turn the video back off. Sorry.
I'm gonna shut my video off. All right, I'm just gonna shut my video off.
Okay.
So, hello again, and thank you for allowing me the time to share my thoughts and concerns regarding the proposed Ashokan Pump Storage Project. I realize a lot of us now have reviewed the application that was filed with FERC. My understanding is Premium Energy Company could be provided with a permit for a feasibility study of the proposed project should this preliminary application be granted, and this study alone could then take up to 5 years with a budget of $5 million. The application has a series of errors that reflect the lack of knowledge of the area, just for starters. Seriously, I encourage each of you to take a highlighter and read through the application, and let's see who can come up with the most deficiencies within the application and share them at the March 18th town meeting. I am sure once you start reading this hideous proposal, you might say, this won't happen because it's not based on reality. We can't afford to be silent and passive and say it's just for a feasibility study that will quietly go away if we ignore it. This is where I get anxious and that pit feeling in my stomach. Because if you go to the Premium Energy website and you go to upcoming projects, they have this project front and center. This is real. The Wittenberg Reservoir site is the closest proposed site out of the 3 to the Ashokan Reservoir. Should Premium Energy gain approval, they have locked themselves in for this positioning to be the landlord of this project, and put out any other competitor. So when the time is right, they will take our land, just like they caught all of us in Ulster County and the government off guard in filing. Premium Energy initially filed for the preliminary application with FERC on November 19th, 2020. They even put a public announcement in Hudson Valley One on December 16th, 2020, and we still didn't know about the project. It wasn't until February 22nd that the project was finally on the radar, and thank you, Mr. Kimball, for breaking the story in the Daily Freeman. Now, we only have 34 days to respond to this absurd proposal. If you oppose this project at all, please go to the FERC website and put in a motion to intervene, especially if you're a business and or private resident who has property on the proposed project site. File to be an intervener, so you'll be a party to every decision made on the project. Let's fill this docket page with facts, research, and measured responses. For FERC to take us seriously, we need to think outside the box, such as addressing tourism, impacts on state land, and the historical and cultural artifacts that will be impacted on this proposal. Premium Energy needs to know that the town of Olive does not want our land to be cleared for this project because it has more value than a pump storage house has to offer. What happened 100 years ago cannot repeat itself. I urge you to visit the Town of Olive website for the meeting link on March 18th at 6:30 p.m. because it's going to take a community to stop this project. If you're interested in helping and have expertise to assist, please email the Town of Olive or savewestshokan@gmail.com and we will forward you information to you as we get it. I want nothing more than the Town of Olive to be known for organizing and stopping this blunder of a proposal. Interesting enough, timely, I found a quote I was just reading, and I'd like to share it with you. It's from the philosopher George Santayana, and he stated, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you on this.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
I
Very
did
good.
want to, and thank you both for your sentiments. I did want to ask you, we were on the meeting last night. I was a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of material I had and some of the technical problems I had. There was a person on there who put up in chat that they were willing to design a mailing for us. That
I'll
lives
find
on-
it. I have a copy of the chat.
Yes,
It was Jill Singer.
Jill Singer, right. Does anybody have contact information for her?
She said she lives in Moonhall. so
I do.
Her address.
Who said I do?
Michelle Friedel.
Michelle, yeah, if you could forward that to me tomorrow, I'd love to reach out to her and see if I can get something going really quickly on that. Okay. We're not going to be
Yep,
able to do,
absolutely.
we will not be able to physically do a mailing by the meeting. So we're going to be planning to do a mailing, that will probably reach people's mailboxes after the meeting, but we'll have the information on people to pursue it on the mailing. It's
Jim?
just not enough time and to do that.
Jim, I got a question that maybe either Wendy or Michelle might also have an answer. They got notified of this kind of late, maybe not necessarily due to people just not knowing, but is it possible for us to request from FERC an extension of the 60-day comment period?
I don't know per se how to do it, but I'm going to research it. What I'm thinking is that FERC is required, or Premium Energy was required to notify people who are parties to the project and people who have a vested interest in the property, which would be the landowners. Now, again, I'm downstream, so I'm not technically a landowner, but nobody, Michelle is, and none of the landowners were notified. And I think that would probably be grounds for them to have to refile and extend it, although I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's also a question of, and it's a question that I think that we can talk about in the next week or so, up to this meeting, is whether it's strategically good to keep making them amend their application, because that just prolongs the period. You know, is it better to do a quick strike and say, let's get out of this? Or do we want to nitpick at the application? I'm thinking nitpick at the application, but not for the purpose of pointing out that they didn't follow procedures, but pointing out that everything in the application was so inherently either misguided or intentionally, misleading, so that the application itself can be thrown out by FERC. That's my perspective on this. But I will tell you that I did send, I know I sent Wendy and Michelle this link to this meeting that they had at Woodland Valley. I did get some feedback from someone that the link didn't work for them. I tried it on my phone, it didn't work. I don't know if that server that's carrying that is overwhelmed or whether they've taken it down. So I'm going to try to get that meeting put up on a town site when I can. I'll do that tomorrow. But the person that I'm working with that I spoke to today is very well versed in this, has an excellent PowerPoint on it that lays it all out. And all of these questions that we have will be answered. And if they're not, we'll have resources to find them. She's a journalist. She's good at what she does. And she was better versed than any of us that I've spoken to about this particular project so far. So I've also reached out today to RCal. Is it RCal? An advocacy group, another advocacy group in California that's dealt with them. So I'll see if I get some feedback for them. I've reached out to a couple different people. As I told you before, I've been talking to someone in Sierra Club who said, stop the application now. Don't let them get into the permit status. So anything we can do. So it's a question about, going back to your question, Drew, do we keep asking them, hey, you didn't do this right? Hey, well, they can just keep amending it and they can prolong this. Whether it extends the 60-day period, I don't know.
Okay.
But it is a question for legal. So I want to move on if there's anything else, if anyone else has any comments.
I can just tell you, Jim, the problem with your link is that the entire link isn't hyperlinked. So like halfway through, it just turns into text.
Oh, okay.
All right, because I just tried it and it doesn't
So
work.
if you copy the entire mess of text, it should work. I'm
Okay,
trying it
I
now.
thought I did, and I thought it went to hyperlink, but I'll work on it. Don't worry. So please don't send me an email, tell me it doesn't work. I know. And I do want to say that, this board is very well versed in what's going on. And we want to be able to direct our opinions and our comments to people that need to hear them, okay? I don't need 50 people telling me they're against this project, because I know let's put it this way. I haven't heard one person tell me they're in favor of the project. So I can pretty much assume that most of the people that are interested in coming to the meetings are against it, or all the people. I'm sure if somebody is in support of this and feels so strongly that they come to a meeting to let me know. They'll let us all know. So I don't want to bog ourselves down with our own stuff, I want to be able to move this to the right people. So I'd like to talk to you guys tomorrow about the letter and the handout that you want to do for the Moon Hall Road area, and fine tune that a little bit if we can. Okay. All right, let's move on to committees so we can get
I'd
moving
like
along.
to point out one last thing on that. I understand the local concern about Moon Hall and the Wittenberg Dam, but we as a community can't ignore the other two, because any way you do it, Olive is, the power plant is in Olive. So we got to make sure when we're doing this, we're negating the whole entire concept, not just that one dam.
Yes, there's other aspects to it other than the dam on Moon Hall.
Yeah.
There's a switch yard in West Shokan, and there is underground tunnels coming out. Transmission lines are coming out of the ground somewhere, and there's transmission lines all the way to Kingston. I reached out to Jim Quigley. The Supervisors Association meeting is next week, and I will bring this up on the agenda and have a conversation with the adjoining towns that might have an interest in this, that'll be affected by this, and have them file for intervener. I was able to get Woodstock to do it, and I'm working on others. That's about where we're at in that. All right.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I did speak to, we have Tim here. I did speak to Tim a little bit about CWC. So this is not a CWC issue. You know, we don't, you know, I saw John Matheson's email. John Matheson's not going to want to get 200 emails about this because he has nothing to do with this. So I want to go through that list a little more carefully so we're not wasting our time and other people's time on this, which could discredit us in the long run.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim, it's already on, I know Pete's on, it's already on the Coalition of Watershed Towns agenda for Monday evening.
Right. Peter is our representative on that, and he got that on there. And I know he's been talking to Jeff Baker. And we have a meeting, a smaller meeting with ourselves on Friday with Jeff, I believe. Okay. Moving on, as they say in the film business. Cable franchise, I don't have a thing to report. I've been a little bit busy on this other stuff. Parks and Rec, Scott. Scott, you're muted. Sorry to say.
There you go.
There you go. No, you're still muted. Don't listen to Drew.
Got a problem with my cable internet service in Sampsonville. Could you fix it?
You sound like you're drinking scotch, and I was like, I'm like, wow, he's loaded, man. You want to pass on the committee report? Because you're really not making much sense. Anything important?
Let
You
Gino do it.
Yeah.
we can't hear you.
No.
Moving on to highway. Let's go to highway.
And Gina, do you want Gino to give the report?
Oh, Jane, if Gene can do something, if he has a report.
If he hasn't fallen asleep?
No,
Oh,
I'm
he
here.
was unmuted. He's there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make it short and sweet. We're waiting to see what the guidelines are gonna be for summer activities, primarily day camp. Obviously, that's the most popular activity we have, so once I get some clear guidelines, we all know the governor said overnight camps can open. Last year, he said day camps can open, but once we got the requirements, it was really not a good plan for us to try to do. So that's hanging out there. We do have many sports that are starting up. We have baseball, t-ball, soccer has decided to hold off till fall, just because they just didn't want to conflict with the baseball season. So right now, we're anticipating is about as normal as possible this spring and summer. And, you know, as regulations and requirements ease up, I think it'll be much easier to move along and have a sense of normalcy. And then we all know that, you know, the numbers go up. So I think people start calling to reserve the park for small events, graduations and that kind of thing. So I think we're on track there. That's pretty much it.
And Gene, you're working on getting some information on the website on these sport teams and who to contact if people are interested, or for the men's softball, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, I've already spoken to the Little League people. They're getting their information together from National Little League for the COVID compliance. I spoke to Todd Faulkner about football. He's doing the same with his sanctioning body. And once they have that information that they can broadcast that this is what it's going to require to participate in these activities, we'll get that information out to everybody. And then we're going to have a preseason softball meeting later in March. Normally softball starts like the first week of May. We may delay it just to see what the requirements are for certain activities. We know that if you're playing on the field that you don't have to wear a mask, but when you're in the non-playing mode or the dugout or whatever, masks are required, or 6 feet. So I want to make sure that's ironclad before I do anything.
Yeah, and the other point I wanted to make about that was trying to get it out there so that people know these activities are available to them.
Yep.
So that they want to sign up,
Yep.
things like that.
Yep, so March is the transition month, and then once we get that, the information will be out there, and, you know, people will hopefully start breaking out of their cocoon and living their lives again.
Beautiful. Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Mr. Burns, you're on. You got to unmute, sir. There you are.
Got me?
Yes, his son's.
Yes.
I can tell his son.
No, I don't have a tremendous amount this month. It's been a a busy last couple months with storm events, especially February here. Most recent windstorm here. We had a lot of trees down. The guys have done a fabulous job clearing the roads this winter. Most recently, and I spoke to you briefly, Jim, I'm actually going to be reaching out to Central Hudson in respect to long-term road closures. We've had this past windstorm, a couple roads in town that were closed, I think, longer than deemed necessary for the debris that was on the lines. And in the past, we've worked well with Central Hudson in isolating a representative from Central Hudson coming out to isolate the area in collaboration with us, the highway department, in getting these roads open and allowing them at a later date to come back and rehang electric lines and whatnot. And I was in contact with our school transportation and whatnot, and our fire department and whatnot through the storm here to keep everybody updated. And it's been limited busing and whatnot, but it's certainly a concern. And there's a lot of roads that are heavily traveled and affects a lot of people in town. And I want to address that moving forward. But other than that, like I said, I think everybody's eager to get out of this winter rut here and move on to springtime. And highway's been good. Like I said, I want to commend the guys. It was a long winter, not horrible winter, but it was busy for everybody. And looking forward to getting into road work and moving forward here. A lot of things we discussed before. Looking forward to the Red Maple Bostock Road design. That's been an area that's been impacted by storm events for periods of time. Our application into the CWC for the Burger Road crossing was tabled for April's meeting. So looking forward to hear what's going to go on there, if anything. And that's basically my update at this point. And next month, hopefully I'll have more for everybody.
Very good. Any questions on it? Comments? Okay. Drew, you want to update us on the police commission?
Yeah, I didn't get a report from Chief Ryan. Did you get one, Dawn?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. The other thing I want to make sure everyone's aware of, I think I said it last night, but I'll say it again. The task force document, police commission initially had, a lot of reservations about that, but at our last police commission meeting, I believe our commission, including the chief, are all on board with everything that came up. And I don't think there'll be any issues with them following through with those guidelines and suggestions from the task force. That's it.
Okay, so police department, year to date, it's 137 calls, total for February 64. They had 11 vehicle accidents, 5 burglar alarms, 3 animal complaints, 7 medical assists, 2 fire calls, agency assist 1, domestic dispute 3, vehicle operation 5, vehicle lockout 2, suspicious activity 2, welfare check 7, abandoned 911 3, harassment 2, found lost property 1, security checks 394, disabled vehicle 2, dispute 1, fraud 4, noise complaint 1, road hazard 1, unwanted subject 1, traffic tickets 22, and 0 arrests.
Thank you, Dawn.
Hey, Jim,
Yes,
if I could update the board real quick on the court.
sure.
We are back open and in session in person. It's now limited. I think this is our 15th amended order, but we're basically back to where we were last summer. We can hold hearings, no jury trials. We can't hold calendars, but we can schedule cases for conferences at particular times. So we're leaving the remote conferences from the courthouse, leaving those on the side now. So it's nice to be somewhat back in person. And I know Bob continues working pretty hard on the plea by mail system. And I think that's starting to move quite a few cases finally.
Okay,
And thank you.
thank you. Dawn, you have more to report?
Office took in $1,640,997.16 in property taxes. The clerk's itself office was $11,016.23. I have that. I have the fire department. February calls. There was one structure fire, 2 mutual aid to Phoenicia, 2 mutual aid to Fly Atwood, 2 to Woodstock, automatic alarms 2, wires down 1, public service 1, carbon monoxide 2, for a total of 13 calls. For all of first aid, there was 28 calls all total, 7 to Olive Bridge, 6 to Boyceville, 6 to Shokan, 4 to West Shokan, 3 to Sampsonville, and 2 to West Hurley. And then I also have the report from the sewer district if in the office, if anybody wants to see it.
Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, and you all received, did I send you all Janice's report?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's got Janice's report too of
Right.
expenditures.
Great, thank you. Scenic Byway, Drew, you got anything on it?
We haven't met since our last town board meeting, but we are scheduled to meet in the late afternoon on the 24th of this month.
Okay. I don't know why my name's on the CAC.
Because I haven't changed it yet.
Oh, my goodness. That's like going on 2 years now.
I will, Jim, I will bring up at the Scenic Byway to see if they want to get involved in the hydro plant issue and at least make a comment or something.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Let them all know this could come to a town near you.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's David Edinger now.
Okay. Been pretty busy. Now that we have that resolution for Matt to be the coordinator for Climate Smart, he's going to start putting together and submitting the documentation to start getting points with Climate Smart. We think we're close, but we probably won't get there until we at least do the community choice aggregation, if we get that through. And then I think that should put us over, though still pretty close on points. And again, that program allows us to apply for grants with priority consideration. We put together, Dan White, the chair, co-chair, put together a response for the using our NRI that we just adopted, looking at the hydro plant and seeing what kind of wildlife is out there. Actually, I need to go in there and dig up some soil stuff and add that to it. But our response from that end is, I believe, in draft to Jim already.
And I'll tell you that draft was really impressive. When I think when I share that with the people on Moonhaw Road on Friday when we have our meeting, you know, what you have so far is like superb. And I think it'll be a model. I will share it with the people in Woodland Valley as well, who are organized, to give them an example of how we addressed it. When I spoke to Ginger, the person from Woodland Valley, who's part of that group, and told her about our NRI, as much as she knew about this stuff, she didn't realize the towns had that, and that we had that in Olive, and that it was a useful document for something like this. So that really caught her interest, and I think they're going to be looking at stuff like that. So this could be a great model for them.
Very good. Now that we have the NRI adopted, we're trying to find funding for the open space inventory, which is our core mission as a CAC. it's going to cost some money, so we need to find the grant money. And we're hoping having the Climate Smart will help us get that money.
Okay, I also have a list for you of, we've been whittling down the vacant properties in the hamlets for us to do our hamlet designation in a few months. So we're just kind of whittling it down to make it easier to use for you guys.
Appreciate that.
Amps working on that, yeah.
Do you have a feel for like how many parcels we're looking at, or?
Lots,
Okay.
lots of lots.
But we're getting in slightly nicer weather. It will be a little easier and more pleasant to do that. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, and we just want to get a sense of what we got there. And I don't know, we'll see. We'll as we get a little closer and we were able to digest it a little more, we'll see. Riding around for it.
So the CAC group is very ambitious. So the biggest thing is just trying to kind of pull them back. They're looking at places to do solar around town, working on a solar code. I'd like to work on the solar code and then look at the solar, but that's a whole nother issue. We're looking at trying to maybe making recommendations about the Esopus water releases, even though it's only a small stretch of that actually goes through the town of Olive. Still obviously is something that does affect the town, though the downstream towns more. What else we got? That's the bulk of it. There's some other projects sort of hanging out that we're still working on.
Okay. Zoning, Drew.
Yes, we've been meeting pretty regularly in the last few months, once a month on like the third Thursday of the month. Our next meeting was going to be on the 18th, but we now have that Zoom meeting on the hydro plant, so I've moved it to the 25th for our next meeting. Right now, we have I'll call it an STR, short-term rental regulation for the town. Yeah, I'm thinking it's 85–90% done as far as the basic content. I'm hoping that at our meeting this month, we can kind of get it more finalized a little bit. I don't think there's a lot to do on it. I did send a copy of it to Jim to get his input, because I know he had some interest in this. But it's we started out with looking at Marbletown and Woodstock's code, and then Rochester brought a draft code of theirs to the Ulster County Planning Board, and we kind of pulled that into it and kind of combined them all into one good document. It's pretty lengthy right now. It's like 9 or 10 pages long, but I think when you see it, it's going to be, I think it's restrictive, but it gives us a lot of control for the short-term rental stuff. So hopefully late spring, early summer, we can get that adopted. And right now we're doing a new chapter instead of trying to suck it into the zoning code. It's just too complicated. It doesn't fit well into the zoning code directly.
No.
Drew, I haven't had a chance to look at that yet. Does it have a schedule of fees?
I didn't think you'd had, yeah.
Oh, it's
Go
on
ahead.
the back burner right now for me.
I would like to know your input before the meeting on the 25th. So you got lots of time, maybe. Just in general, what your thoughts are, because I know when we first started this, you had some thoughts on this. I've copied Kimberly on this, but she so far hasn't reacted to it. I'm going to try to reach out to her and see what her reaction is to it.
Okay.
One of the things that is in it, because I'm on the county planning board, the county has pretty standard responses back to these type of documents for towns. Two of them, I can tell you, is basically forbidding LLCs from owning STRs in the town. And the other one is, even though we don't have multifamily units in our town, but it would forbid multifamily units from having STRs as part of their apartment building.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on that, on zoning?
I just want to say, I think it's a good document that we've come up with.
Okay.
And I look at it, anytime you've got 5 or 6 people looking at it that are willing to actually read it and say something, we could tweak this forever.
Yes.
I think at some point we just pull the trigger, we put it in place, and if we have to hiccup, we have a couple of hiccups, we can always change it.
Okay. All right, technology, David, how are we doing on the website and everything?
We should have a build out of it in about a week, and then we're planning on launching April 1st. There were some questions about the color scheme we were using because it was kind of too much like the old color scheme. And
By the way,
Diane,
my wife said it needs to be, whatever the color scheme is, it needs to be inviting.
Yes.
That's the word she used.
well, I've let Diana take the reins on that as I'm colorblind and don't have much of a feel for for what colors might work well. I used to make access forms that people just couldn't even look at. But I know Diana's talked to Amanda and Sierra, and they're working on a color palette that is still accessible. They're passing it through accessibility rules to make sure that it'll be okay for visually impaired people and things like that.
Okay.
I need to purchase pretty soon, so Jim, I'll have to work with you, a couple new domain names. We're thinking oliveny.org and .com. They're pretty cheap. They're like, they should be like $5 each a year. And I'll work with you. So that one thing that allows is that Wiltwick will be able to stand up the new site on that domain, and then switch over in a day instead of having actual downtime on the website at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there'll be a week when we have to put things on both sites, but that's there won't be any real downtime at all.
Will ultimately will the domain name we currently have be active?
It will be a redirect.
Okay.
That will just go to the new pages. So probably oliveny.org will be the actual page, .com, and the current URLs will both redirect to that. So that's looking pretty good. Should have something to show you by the end of next week at the very latest, of an actual site you can browse around on, and we can still make changes in that last 2 weeks before we go live.
Once we go live, can we make changes?
Oh yeah. To design, it gets a little trickier, but yes. I kind of like to do something like that. The photo changes seasonally to a seasonally appropriate photo, things like that. But we need to take color and things into.
Just give us
account,
enough
so kind of
time
major.
before you launch so that we have time to weigh in on it.
And if anyone has some spectacular pictures, they have to be fairly high quality, high resolution. But we are looking for a picture to spotlight on the front page. So still trying to find that perfect picture. We have a couple that'll work, but I'd like better ones. So if you got them, send them over. I also was just talking to someone that does semi-professional photography. And once we get the color palette, so we know what we're kind of looking to match, she's going to give me some samples.
I have some nice pictures that were given to me by Ed Ostapchuk of the stream, and not necessarily, some I have of the reservoir, but some are.
Doesn't necessarily need to be the reservoir. It's kind of
Right,
central,
so-
but I was even thinking some of the nice scenes from the high school are pretty spectacular.
I got
Looking
some
down the
nice-
mountains.
I
Yeah,
got some nice ones that I got from Ed Ostapchuk. He takes absolutely beautiful pictures, and they're of the Silpas. Amanda has seen them. I'll share them with the girls, and Amanda knows how to get to them, and they can see if that'll work for you.
Great. Thank you.
I also have a young man who offered to do some photography. He's a high school student, and he's actually done some spectacular photography that I've been encouraging him to keep, sending me stuff. I have some things. I think I sent you some, but I will send you more if I have.
I'll probably have to work with you to get better resolution ones. Those were little like thumbnail ones that you sent. But when we pick which one we want, I'll work with you to get a better quality version of it. Moving on a little bit, as most of you know, we had an issue at the planning board meeting, the public comment, that we hit the 100-person max for our account. So before the meeting next Tuesday, I'm going to up the account to a max of 500. So I'll be spending, it's $50 a month. So we don't want to keep it any longer than we think we'll actually need it. And we can do it 1 month, let it, lapse, get it another month if we need it. So I'll try to keep that managed, and we'll also be able to use that for the hydro meeting. So if we anticipate, half the town showing up, well, 500 people showing up, will be good.
Okay.
So that'll be all taken care of for this next week. If I could just ask people to get their meetings on the town calendar, as I'm trying to manage these Zoom meetings and things aren't on the town calendar, they're all over my email and it can be a little hard for me to manage. It'd be nice to have one place to look and see what's going on. I've noticed quite a few meetings not on there.
I did send to Rebecca the ads for the 2 new meetings, and I asked her to put them on the calendar also.
Yeah, I think she's been pretty good. I think she's not getting the notifications from
Well,
various
that's
people
what I
having the
sent them
meetings.
to. I
So,
sent them to her today, so those should be going on the website, and she should be putting them on the calendar.
And
Which
the
meetings
zoning committee meetings go on. They're not on the calendar.
Which meetings?
The zoning committee.
Right, exactly.
That's
They haven't
only
been-
when they have an application. They haven't had any.
So-
No,
application.
the zoning review committee meetings
Not
haven't been on there.
not the ZBA, the zoning committee.
So like when we looked for when to have a meeting for the hydro meeting, we ended up putting on the same night as the zoning meeting because it wasn't on the calendar.
Right.
Okay.
So we need to get,
I have
But
to
they
talk
don't
I have to
meet.
talk to
through Zoom.
Rebecca because I had asked her to put the 3rd Thursday of every month on the calendar. So apparently she didn't do that, but I'll talk to her about that.
okay. Yeah, it makes things a little more difficult when I don't know everything going on.
Speaking of that, Jim, at least for the moment, what is your guidance as far as having in-person meetings? Because the zoning committee is usually like 6 or 7 or 8 people. Or I know the police commission had
I'm holding off at least another month to see how things evolve. I don't want to jump the gun on indoor stuff. We're doing okay. I know everybody is anxious and wants to get together, and I'm glad of that. But I do want to wait another month.
Everybody should
Things
get
are put-
vaccinated.
What's that?
Everybody should get vaccinated and then we can meet in person.
Yeah, but
I wish I could.
Let's give it another month and see how it evolves. Okay.
Scott, Dave, I have a way you can get vaccinated. I will contact you.
Okay.
So just say, if you can hear.
It's not coming through, Scott. I'm sure Scott would like to be in person right about now.
I bet.
Yeah. Plus he's muted right now, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I got for tech right now. Oh, well, actually, one more thing. Next thing I want to start working on is a policy and procedure for a Facebook site for the town. We need to be able to get information out.
So I sent you a email asking, there's a Town of Olive Facebook page that says it's a town government page, but it's not.
No, Facebook creates one for every entity. It can dig up
There
every
are
business,
people-
every,
But there are people that are putting stuff on that page.
yeah, people can do that. And it's just, Facebook does that. And I can probably take control of it if,
Yeah, somebody.
when we have one.
Somebody
But-
just created another one too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how you control that.
You can't. Unless they're claiming to be the official Town of Olive page, then
Don't
you
you have to have
can.
an administrator? There's no administrator, right?
Not for the one that Facebook automatically creates, no.
How about the one that was just created?
That one does have one, but that's a public comment group. It's just a community group. It's the Olive community page. I could find the exact wording of it. I don't remember,
Right,
but
right.
it's clear that it's not the government page,
Well, the other one is identified as a government page.
right?
so-
Because they do that. Facebook does that.
I mean, I remember a long time ago, we talked about that, and Sue Horner had access to it, and we couldn't get on. It was just really a mess with passwords and things.
Yeah, one of the things I'm most concerned about of having a town page is having who's going to administer it and who's going to be responsible for it.
It's a big job.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a big part of the discussion that the tech committee will be having.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Buildings and ground. Who do we have here?
Scott says building committee did not meet, hoping with time change and better weather we'll meet in a few weeks.
Okay, Scott, thank you.
No report.
Okay.
Did you want something about the planning board?
Yeah, we were going to add planning board and we didn't.
We gotta add that in.
Add on.
So there's another public meeting about hearing about the Sailor Mill next week. They have they've reduced comment time from 5 to 3 minutes per comment. There are, I think, 30 people at least who want to make comments at this second meeting.
If they didn't add people, it's 25.
Yeah, there's going to be more.
I thought we weren't taking new people. Okay,
They
we'll
are-
talk about
they
that
are-
later.
They are. But, so the planning board has decided that one meeting a month is going to be about other planning business like lot line adjustments and, you know, a variety of other things. And then the second meeting will be Sailor Mill, at least going forward, because it appears that there's that much work that's needed to be done. The Bread Alone plan was approved. So they're moving forward, which is great. They're incredibly busy in the planning board, I got to say. And I really admire the work they're doing.
Yeah, really, without Sailor Mill, they would still be hard pressed to do this in one meeting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, before Sailor Mill, they were having 2 meetings a month already. So
I'm not trying to downplay what they're doing, but when I was on the planning board for 9 years, we met twice a month, all 9 years.
were they as
We don't think we had the level of complexity that they've got right now, but we had constant subdivision work going on.
but there's
The
also
thing that's really strange
a lot
right
of
now to me
contention.
is almost everything coming before them, people are complaining about in one form or the other.
a lot. There's
That's different for our town.
the Macmillan camping proposal is getting a lot of pushback from the people in the community. There's other things that are getting a lot of emotional response from people in the community. So part of it is sort of dealing with that piece, the emotional response piece, and trying to keep things on cool, basically, and people not freaking out at each other and getting nasty with each other, because there's been some real nasty comments made.
And the one thing that they're doing right now, this public hearing on the seeker, we never did that before that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm sure that was a suggestion by the attorney and a good suggestion because,
Yes.
But it's the first time I know of that we've had a public hearing to determine whether it's a neg deck or positive deck situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting process.
Right. So when you ultimately get down to are we going to approve this or not, there's going to be another public hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Or a series of public hearings.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about planning.
I dread this coming to the county planning board.
That'll be next.
'Cause-
Yeah, soon, actually.
That's gonna happen soon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it depends on what they decide on the seeker.
Yes.
If they decide that they need an environmental impact statement, that's going to slow things down a bit.
They've also requested a traffic study, which
Yeah.
is supposed to be completed by the meeting next week.
Oh, wow, that's quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna
Well, they're
happen.
paying for it. They're not having the county do it
Right.
or DOT do it.
Right.
That'd be months.
Or years.
No, it's being done by privately. That's it.
That's it? Okay. Any other comments or questions tonight? Before we wrap it up? I thank you all for coming and I appreciate all the comments we got from the public. I'd like to approve a page, make a motion to approve a page in the minute book in honor of Vincent Dutch Barringer, who passed away recently. I know Dawn had sent a card. I found out she sends cards to everybody that we.
Every time after you do it, I do it after you adjourn in the memory of.
So I'd like to make a motion that we put a page in the minute book in honor of Dutch Barringer. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we're going to adjourn in memory of two people who deceased. June Margaret Winnie, a lifelong area resident, lived in Olive Bridge. She passed away. She was 89. I did not know her. Vince Dutch Barringer, I knew, and he was great. He was a really great guy.
Great
And
character.
he sometimes he and I didn't see eye to eye, but he was always good. We had a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Dan could get information out of a rock. He should have been a police officer.
But Dawn gave me a
Judge,
little
close enough.
thing, just so you all know the history of Dutch. He was a town justice from 1970 to 1973. He was the town supervisor from 1976 to 1981. And he was the town justice from 1986 to 2010 for a total of 34 years of service to the town of Olive,
On top of his regular day job.
on top of his regular day job. And so we'd like to adjourn in memory of Dutch and June Margaret Winnie. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Thanks for hanging in for these long meetings. Sorry, I read that law last night, but I felt an obligation to do that. And, wanted to just get that off my chest because, well, we had a half hour of meetings sitting there with not a real public hearing, so.
Right.
Good for my vocal cord exercising.
If you're
Thank
on,
you all.
Ready.
We'll see you next month,
Good night.
and I'll talk to you between now and then.
right,
We
take care.
will see everybody on the 18th
Next week.
On the 18th, if you come to the meeting, yeah.
and the 24th.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, everybody. Bye now.
Bye.
Yeah.
You know?